Welcome to the midweek edition of the National Outlook. I'm GHK Lall on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM. It's Wednesday, September 7th, the first week of school. Stop waiving EIAs for hazardous waste facilities. Environmentalists tell EPA. EIAs, Environmental Impact Assessment. In brief, in the simplest terms, it's a study that's done when a company announces that or informs, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, that it wants to establish a business, a plant, a factory, some sort of structure to house something, to produce something. And because we are talking about downstream oil activities, downstream oil businesses, you're usually talking about chemicals and hazardous materials. Some may even be radioactive. Many of them possess a lot of dangers that would create a storm if they were to be put in residential areas in the United States or one of the other advanced countries like Canada or in Europe. But here it is, we have things going up in Eccles and in, Friendship and Houston and parts of the East Coast, if I recall well. And most of the time, quite a bit of the time, more often than not, the EPA, our EPA says, hey, we don't need an EIA. We don't need an environmental impact assessment. They waive that. And that's what has a group of 54 Guyanese. I think it might be largely women. And there are some known names in there. And I have a lot of regard for these women because I happen to know a couple of them personally. Not closely, but personally, arm's length, having dealt with them. They are women of integrity. They are women of intensity. And they are women about duty. The men also are. People who affix their names to these things understand that they may be making themselves into enemies of the government. But they couldn't care less. They could care less. They want to be safe. They want us to be safe. They want you to be safe wherever you're living. You may say, I live on the East Coast or in Berbice, and that's happening on the east bank of Demerara. Well, you're wrong, because you don't know when one of those plants or factories or storage bonds would be coming into your area. That's what is involved here. And regardless whether it ever comes into your area or not, the fact of the matter is that if there is risk of exposure, of danger, of health hazards, the EPA needs to protect us. As much as we want businesses and jobs and taxes and whatever else, our safety is paramount. Our safety is all important. Our children's safety is all important. We know what's happening with our fishing industry, and I don't care what anybody says. I think there's a connection. Unless I can see some really robust scientific studies or authoritative voices speaking, I'm not ready to say there's no connection. So the point is, we have these EIAs, these studies, and if they're done by credible people, dependable people, people who know what they're doing, no connection to Exxon, that's what we need. That's what we need to protect us, to look out for us, to give us that sense of safety and security. We're not having that right now. And I'm glad that these women got into the face of the EPA and said, stop doing this nonsense. Do your job. Do all of it. And do it better than you've ever done it before. I add my voice to that, with them. I'm GHK Lall on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Thank you for listening to the National Outlook.